Hi, I'm Daniel Priestley, and today I want to talk to you about the entrepreneur journey. Over the last few years, we've been working on the Key Person of Influence Growth Accelerator. We've had over 2,000 companies come through the accelerator. We've worked with ultra high net worth mentors who've been helping companies to grow and develop. And we've even been raising money for charity. And recently we discovered that we raised over £350,000 for charity. At the moment, we run in cities all over the world, and our clients range from people in the UK and Europe, right through to Asia, USA and Australia. Many people know us for the big events that we run with 400 or 500 people. Behind the scenes, we also do a lot of interviews with different businesses where we sit down, we interview them, and we, over a 2-hour period, find out where they are, what they're struggling with, where they'd like to be, and how to fast track that approach. In that strategy session, we've had the opportunity to work with literally thousands of different businesses. And the one thing that every business feels is that they're going through something completely unique. However, when you start looking at the data of lots and lots of businesses, and when you sit down and interview lots and lots of businesses, you discover that the entrepreneur journey is way more predictable than you'd think. There's certain problems that come along, certain frustrations that come along at a very predictable time, and there's ways to overcome those if you know the journey that's ahead of you. So I want to walk you through the journey, and it's important to know that when I share with you some of this information, it's reflective of the big data. So in the UK alone, there's over 5.25 million businesses. About 3.7, 3.8 million of them are actively trading. So we've got lots of data to go on. So the first phase, as you'd expect, is startup phase. These are people who are starting a business. Often they're pre-revenue or they've got very small revenue while they're conducting tests. They're feeling excited, they're feeling engaged. They know that their business will launch soon. They'll have more money, more time, less stress, and it'll be really wonderful to be up and going in business. What they often find is that once they get started, there's actually less money, less time, and more stress in running a business than they thought. So the next phase in business is very predictable, and it's called the wilderness. And the wilderness is when you're all out there by yourself, on your own, running a business, trying to survive. 75% of all the businesses in the UK don't employ anyone at all. They're just single solopreneur businesses with a single self-employed person who's going around trying to survive in business. Interesting thing is that the revenue per person across that, millions of these businesses is around £55,000 per person. So the average income for this type of business is £55,000. The next phase in business is called the boutique. And in the boutique, the business can sustain a small team. Normally between 3 and 12 people is a typical boutique-sized business. Once it hits about 14, 15 people, it becomes less of a boutique and more of a growing, scaling business. There's 2 different types of boutique businesses. The first type is the struggling boutique that can make its payments, make its bills and sustain itself, but it's not really becoming hugely profitable, and often things are pretty tight and there's a lot of constraints around time and money. Then as a business improves something called revenue per person, it moves into what's called a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business is that small, lean, dynamic team where there's plenty of money, there's lots of fun, lots of creative freedom, and the business is really taking on a life of its own. The business owner is typically having more fun, more freedom and more money than they would have if they were working in a corporate job. So quite often the owner of a lifestyle business will work pretty reasonable hours, 10 till 4. They'll be able to take holidays, and the business is not just paying a wage, but it's also profitable. Once a business hits that 10, 11, 12 people, it becomes less about a boutique. It moves into the scaling phase. Certainly by the time it hits 15 people on the team, it's into the scaling phase. This is a very difficult phase that we call the desert. And the desert is moving from a boutique business into a professional business, but at this stage, it's too big to be small and too small to be big. This is where the business has to make investments into the business. Cash flow is always an issue. There's a dynamic in the team where 2 teams are pulling apart. So when you're a lifestyle business or a boutique, you were telling the first few people that this is a fun place to work, there's no rules, there's no structure, we all just get along, we go out to dinner and movies together as a team, and it's that fun small team. Once you hit about 20 to 30 people, you start changing the story and you tell people that this business is going to be big one day, it's going to be professional, it's going to be valuable, there's going to be structure, there's going to be some rules, everything's going to be measured, and it's going to become a high-performing business. So the first early stage team, those first 10 people who joined, they got a very different story to the people who are being hired when you hit 10, 20, 30 people. So that causes a tension in the team. You've got effectively a lifestyle team and a performance team who are pulling in different directions. Culturally, the business is being pulled in two directions. One direction is being pulled down to lifestyle business, that small, flat structure with no hierarchy. One is the performance business, where everything's measured, everything's about performance, and it's a professional organization. The other thing that has to happen is revenue per person has to go up. So as we scale a business towards 15, 20, 25, 30 people, the stress and the pressure that goes on the business owner is too much to take. So they need to hire a management team and a leadership team, and that cost has to be absorbed into the whole operation. So whereas a solopreneur can survive on £55,000 for the whole business, a small team has to have about £90,000 on average revenue per person. Once we get into the desert, we have to hit about $125,000 revenue per person. And by the time we get up to performance business, we have to be hitting on average about £150,000 per person. So the revenue per person figure is a really interesting metric to measure. Typically when a business hits 50 people, it moves into this performance mode. Now you're running things like a Formula One pit crew. Everything gets measured, everyone's got a very specific role, everyone sticks to their role, and the whole organization is a very different organization to how it was when it was a lifestyle business. You also tend to spend money on things that you never dreamed you'd spend money on when you're a lifestyle business. So in the same way a Formula One pit crew spends thousands and thousands of pounds per little screwdriver and tens of thousands of pounds per tyre, that seems totally crazy to anyone who's just driving around for fun. But in the context of Formula One, spending money on those types of things is essential because you're really down to the fine tuning of high performance. It's the same in business. So you'll spend more on accountants, you'll spend more on lawyers, you'll spend money on consultants and advisors, you'll typically spend money on HR and recruitment at a whole new level than before, but the business is able to absorb those costs because you've really been able to find a powerful value add in the marketplace. So businesses that hit that 50-person mark, they're into that performance journey, and that's a very different journey as they scale up to from 50 to 500 people. The other business I want to mention is what's called a unicorn business. So we all read the stories about Uber, Facebook, Instagram, and other businesses that very rapidly become multi-billion-dollar businesses. It's like the lottery, very, very easy to discover those businesses after they've become successful, but very difficult to try and predict which industries and which businesses are going to produce unicorns. One of the things that happens is because we hear so much about these big business success stories is we become enamored by the way they do business, often forgetting the fact that they're actually right time, right place, right funding partner. There's also less to learn about a unicorn business than you'd think. What we help our clients do is to steer their business either towards a lifestyle business with 3 to 12 people earning over 100,000 on average revenue per person, or to cross the desert and to become a performance business doing 150,000 revenue per person with really valuable assets underpinning the business. I hope that's helped you to understand the entrepreneur journey and to run your business more effectively towards the type of business you want to achieve. If you enjoyed that video, click subscribe. We upload regular content and case studies to help you become a key person of influence in your industry.